even though I love them, how are orange Tic Tacs considered mints? What about them can be considered mint? Is it just because it says orange mints? How, just because you put them in your mouth?
Is that the definition of a mint?
I don't know.
There are a lot of things you put in your mouth that are not mints.
No, I understand, but I've never... The aspect of something minty and something orange is completely disgusting to me.
Right. It's like orange juice and toothpaste.
Right. So why would you call something orange as a mint?
They don't taste like mints at all. They
Says-
taste like candy.
Orange artificially flavored mints.
I don't know. I mean, Tic Tacs are mints by definition, but the orange ones don't have a minty flavor at all.
0 calories. This thing is... These are my kryptonite.
I know that the whole thing will be gone tomorrow.
You're lucky. I saved them. I'm going to do something
Yeah, you have
sacrilege.
like 10 at a time.
I'm putting some back. I'm doing something sacrilege because you're not ever supposed to have mints or anything in your mouth.
Can I have one?
No. Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't had an orange Tic Tac in a long time. I need to remind myself.
I used to, for Christmas, you used to get me the big ones.
Yeah, like the value
the mega
pack.
pack, and it's gone in a day. They're just so good. Orange.
Yeah, there's
Tic
nothing
Tacs.
minty about them.
My favorite color, and in my mouth. My favorite color is in my mouth,
Yeah.
secreting
Wow.
juices.
Okay.
Maybe that's what makes it a mint.
Wow.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know. Welcome to While She's Napping. I am Adam.
And I'm Cindy.
I got orange Tic Tacs in my mouth. Do you know that? I guess it's a Northeast thing to say orange and not orange.
Yes, I did know that.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like orange here.
Yeah, like, and we say Florida instead of Florida.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's a New England accent.
Does anybody say tomato?
No.
No, why do people...
Not that I know of, except for the saying tomato, tomato.
Yeah, no one says tomato.
I know.
Maybe they do. Maybe somewhere they do.
Yeah.
You know what I've always wondered? If when you learn a new language, if you learn French and you were fluent and you went to France, would they know that you have a not French way of saying French words? Like, you know how when someone is, say, born in Mexico and they come and they learn fluent English, but we can tell that they still have an accent.
It's not their first language or they have an accent? Yeah, definitely.
It's so weird.
Because you have to really live somewhere, I think, and be embedded in the language to pick up the accent.
Yeah, but even people that come from other countries that come here, they still have their
That's what I mean. We would still
accent.
we would probably speak French, but have an American accent when we say it. Like, it's hard to fully, you wouldn't have the full accent.
I don't know. I think you can fool people.
Oh, maybe.
Like-
This is like the most random intro.
Well, no.
Your thoughts? Have you
Can
been?
you-
You've been bothering. This stuff has been bothering you all day.
No. So you know how when like people that are actors and they act with an American accent and they pull it off, do you think actors that are from America that act in a full-on French film and speak French, but perfectly...
Probably because they're
That's so
actors and they're
weird.
practicing the accent
That's so meta.
and they're professionals.
That's so fucking meta, bro.
Oh my god!
I'm just saying. It's weird. Okay, so... Look,
Welcome to While She's Napping.
we already said that.
We did?
Yes.
No, we didn't.
Yes. Because I was talking about orange Tic Tacs secreting in my mouth.
Okay, you can edit that part out.
No, we'll leave it.
I'm losing my mind.
Are we feeling better?
I am better, but I'm obviously still very sleep deprived.
Well, yeah, you have
I'm exhausted.
an atom thing growing in you.
Wow, an Adam thing.
Well, it's a baby.
Yeah. I'm pretty pregnant, and it's the middle of summer, and I'm tired.
We got ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
National Ice Cream Day, unbeknownst to me.
Yeah, we were gonna get it anyway.
I did not know this. So, hey, last week we did an episode on patriotism. Got a lot of interaction. Well, a lot of listenership. when it came to that, we appreciate the listenership. We appreciate the downloads. Didn't get much feedback from it. I think just people generally like to listen to us complain about other people. I think that's just what it boils down to.
You mean my Karen moment with the fireworks?
Well, I mean, that's not a Karen moment. Is it?
I don't know. I think other people would call me a Karen about it, but whatever.
All right. Whatever. Hey, so we are, speaking of pregnancy, we are nearing the home stretch of I
know. My pajamas don't fit me anymore.
Yeah. Just unbutton it.
I know. The buttons keep coming undone.
Whatever. We're nearing the home stretch of the due date, which I think it's going to be early. The due date, that is, not our child. Our child is not an it.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, our first daughter was 3 weeks early, but every pregnancy is different. We'll see.
I mean, mid-September, she's supposed to be here.
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking late August, very early September.
Well, it's a good thing we got a lot of shit done the last few weeks, because that doesn't leave us a lot of time.
Yeah, well, we'll see. All right, so today it's a little, I don't know, I wouldn't say a touchy subject, but it's something that I feel that every parent, it weighs on them a little bit. Wouldn't surprise me. We're going to talk about the change in dynamics of previous existing friendships when having a child. Specifically, and I'm not calling anyone out in particular, that I want to get that right off the bat. It's those friendships those long-lasting friendships that you've made, and you and your partner are having a child, and especially if those friendships are those of a couple, they don't have a child.
Right.
I think that's when things get, I don't want to say messy, but things definitely change.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're thinking like friends in particular that are other couples that we would normally do pretty regular double dates or kind of hang out as a
and
group.
get fucked up, bruh.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's obvious. I don't think this is news to anyone, whether you're a parent or not. You've probably had this experience, from either direction.
I think it's news if you haven't, especially if you're expecting, you might not be thinking about this quite yet. You obviously,
right.
Know things are going to change.
If you're one of the first people or couples in your social group to have kids, then you don't have an experience like. That's true. But I think at our age, most people that we know either have kids themselves or have friends who have kids. So they've been on one side or the other of this situation. I think it kind of, but even if you haven't experienced it or you don't really necessarily know exactly what to expect, I think everybody knows that when a kid comes into the picture, that for that person or for that couple or that family, things are going to be a lot different. That they're not going to be getting a lot of sleep. They're going to be, kind of their life is going to be dictated by their child's schedule, naps. When the kid's a little older,
No one's thinking about this.
Maybe not in that much detail, but I think just the whole. It's a pretty well-known thing that parents are tired and aren't like going out late partying. You're not going to go out to dinner at 9:00 at night.
Maybe not in the beginning.
Right.
But maybe after year 2, you're thinking, okay, I can rebound from this. And I'm thinking, maybe for some people that's the case, but in our experience, that's not the case.
Well, right. Well, and I want to talk about why I think our experience has been a little bit different, because right around that age, too, like right around the time that our child turned 2 was around the time that COVID hit.
Yeah.
So that added a whole nother.
Before. Yeah.
She was like a year and a half.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. When COVID hit. So for us, I feel like we were just at that point where, around a year and a half to 2 years old, we would have started probably socializing more often and more regularly than we had after she was first born.
Primarily, I feel that what you're not saying is with those that also have kids. primarily.
Well, like for example, so her birthday is in June, right? So in the summer, so COVID hit in the spring. So I think going into that summer of 2020, right around the time that she turned 2, would have been the time for us, to spend a lot of time with our other friends who have kids. We probably would have spent a lot of time with those families that summer.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes. But also, I think we would have been more comfortable. Like, she would have been getting to the age where maybe we feel comfortable with her staying overnight with one of her grandparents or something. Or we just feel more comfortable having people watch her for longer periods of time. When they're really little, it's hard. It's hard to leave them for, to stay out really late or to go overnight somewhere without them. I feel like she was just getting to the age where we would have started to be more comfortable with that kind of thing and had a little bit more freedom to do things with our friends who don't have kids.
I'm just saying primarily, I think we would have explored more opportunities to hang out with people with kids. And that's not because it's preferable in terms of the company. It's just easier to say, hey, kids, go play, and we'll just hang out up here.
Right. That's what I mean in the summer. Like, we would go, I could imagine we would go to our friends' houses that have kids, or they would come here and the kids play in the backyard, play in the sprinkler, play when we sit on the deck and hang out.
Yes.
And grill. Yes. And that's probably what our summers would have looked like.
Right.
But I think that there's, obviously truth to that, because then everybody in the family is having social interaction and being entertained. But I also think we would have we wouldn't have been as hesitant to or unable to go out for late dinners or late night or something with friends who don't have kids, who enjoy and still can stay awake long enough to do those things.
I'm not saying we would have abandoned it entirely. And maybe, look, everybody is different when it comes to how you parent and how you view things. I can imagine, look, we got pregnant, I don't want to say late, because I was 32, right? 2018. Yeah, so I was 32. That meant you were 29, 30 at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's not late, but I feel that for a lot of people, once you hit your 30s, you start to get a little tired, just in general.
Right. That's why I was saying I don't think this is news to anybody. This is what I mean.
But there are some people that still have that energy to go out. So for those that had kids or are having kids that are relatively younger than that, like maybe early to mid 20s, things might not change for you, right? You might be more inclined to bring your children wherever, or you might be more inclined to say, hey, mom, dad, or whoever is watching your child, we're going out. Because I feel for you. You don't want to miss those times. I've had probably some of the best times I've ever had in my early, mid, late 20s. So, more power to you. Please take advantage of that time. That's not what I'm addressing. What I'm addressing now is people in our ilk. It seems that, at least for me, all right, I can only speak on my experience. And again, I'm not speaking about anybody in particular, but when it comes to who I want around my child, or now children, and where we go, I am very fucking particular about it now. Very particular. And I don't want to say picky, but I'm very conscious of the atmosphere that
obviously
may be.
Right. I mean, but that's just, there are some settings that are family friendly, kid friendly, and some that are not.
But we've been to those quote unquote not, and kids were there.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a fine line of, I'm not trying to disrespect.
No, everyone has their own level of comfort, but
right.
For us, it's for me, it's pretty cut and dry. It's, again, it's not about the particular people or anything like that, but it's the atmosphere. If people are drinking heavily, if there's a lot of cigarette smoke, if there's I don't want my young children around. I don't want to spend my whole time trying to avoid the secondhand smoke.
Well, especially you, because you're pregnant.
Well, yeah, but even so, even with a young child with a baby, that's no fun for me.
Right.
That's not the definition of a good time. It's just stressful. And it's not a judgment on the other people who are there. It's not a judgment on people who are smoking cigarettes or drinking. Everyone is obviously entitled to do that and have a good time. It's just the fact that when your priority is different when you have a child with you, and it just becomes more stressful than fun, and it's not worth it.
Yeah. It's just I'm trying to avoid that line of being too much of a worrywart, but worrywart? Wart.
There you go.
Yes, wart. I don't want to be that guy that just worries about things all the time. But at the same time, I think when you're a parent, it's your responsibility to be aware and conscious and kind of particular of those situations, right? Especially if you yourself are participating in it and drinking and smoking and whatnot, which is fine. But you don't want to be in a situation where you're incapable.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, we're busy watching our kids, and one of us has to drive us home with our kid in the car. Like, that's just not fun to go to a party and be the only sober one, take it from the pregnant person, and like have to be just your sole focus is on your kid. Whereas I feel like when it's a more of like a family oriented situation and there's other families with kids there, it's more of like we said before, I think
There's
everybody
still
can kind of but everybody can kind of relax because everybody is watching everybody's kids.
Right.
And there's sort of that like village mentality, I feel like, in that situation. When you go to an event or a party or something, and if you're the only parent or couple with kids,
or maybe one more,
or maybe like if you're the minority, most of the people most of the people attending are adults without kids. They're not watching your kid. Like, they're not
right.
They're not like trained.
They shouldn't have to.
They shouldn't have to. No. But I mean, especially if in the summer, when you think about when there's pools involved and stuff, like, it's just, it's our job to keep our kids safe, and that's our priority. And it makes it just, you can't really relax as well in that situation.
It's important to note that a lot of these things about being particular and picky, quote unquote, about, the environment that I want my child around, even outside of parties, that's the case. But, I'm still willing to have one-on-ones with friends that don't have kids. Obviously, it's, like my best friend ever, like, just love him to death. There's nothing he can do to possibly make me want to not be around him.
Well, and those friends like that we have, that we're close to, even the ones who don't have kids, love our kid.
I mean, they say they do.
No, they definitely do. And they don't mind hanging out with us as a family. It's also great to go out, like a double date, like without the kids every now and then too, of course, and spend time with them. But I think it's just, it makes it that much easier when your friends who don't have kids are like, enjoy spending time with your kids too. Like, not that should be the only way that we get to spend time with them, but that's some of the best times we've had since we've been able to hang out since vaccines.
Yeah.
And actually, to some extent, I feel like from a COVID perspective, it's been a little bit easier now to hang out with our friends who don't have kids because they're vaccinated, and they don't. It's hard with our friends who do have kids because we still have to be cautious about the two families of kids interacting together, and we're cautious about the fact they go to different schools or different whatever, they're in sports, dance, whatever, and then they're interacting with one another. We want it to be outside and yada yada, like all that complication of having kids who can't be vaccinated. So it feels very safe and easy to get together with our friends who don't have kids because they're fully vaccinated, and we can all just hang out and not worry about it. So from that perspective, it's been a little bit easier to get together with parents who don't have kids. Friends who don't have kids.
Right. And again, like the specific people in my life, the people that I'm close with, it's important for me to have them. This is just on my end. It's important for me to have them be around my child if they so choose to. I don't like forcing things. I don't like, putting it on anybody. or guilt tripping anybody to have a relationship with my child. If they want to, they want to. If they don't, they don't. It really doesn't offend me if you don't. But there are, like I was saying about my best friend, you know, save for being abusive to my kid, which is not at all in his makeup. It's just not. There's nothing he can do to make me not want to be around him, right? Mm-hmm. So even if he was like, we're having a party and no kids, either I wouldn't go or I would find a way to go.
We'd find a babysitter if we wanted to go.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would understand. And it's just these type of dynamics. And again, he would never say that. It would never be put on us. I'm just saying, if anybody ever said that, depending on how close I was to the person, we would probably find a sitter or more than likely not go. But that's the thing. Like, I think we mentioned this when that episode about So You Want to Have a Kid. Now we're at the point where all that, sort of partying and wanting to get, fucked up all the time, not all the time, but like drinking on the weekend was an event.
Right.
When we decided to have children, we were already just like,
kind of over
I'm
that.
Tired.
Yep.
Like, I don't want to do that.
I was going to say that, like, even before we had our daughter, there were times where we would choose to just stay home and watch Netflix versus going out to a party or going out to a late dinner or something. Like, not to say we didn't socialize or we didn't do things like that, but
we just got a house, right?
Yeah,
and so we just want to be in it.
And we were, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't think we're alone. There's a lot of people who are relieved if plans get canceled or something. They're like, oh, good, I can just sit on my couch. I don't have to, like, get dressed.
Yeah.
And put pants on. And
so we got invited to, and maybe this can be considered our RSVP. And I'm sorry if it is, but we got invited to a Friday thing. And we were talking to your best friend about it. And she said, are you going to this? I said, it's not a Friday. And she's like, right, a Friday.
And my best friend also has kids, two young kids.
And I said to her, I was like, only you understand why, like, a Friday is a Tuesday, basically, for parents. It's not like the kid is in Friday mode at 3 years old. It's just another day.
And a weekend is just another day. Like, for us, yes, we don't have to work, but, like, arguably,
but we can plan for that night. Like, if it's a Saturday night, we can gear ourselves up for it.
Sure, but it's still, I was going to say, arguably, weekend days when we're home with our 3-year-old all day and also trying to get shit done around the house, catch up on all the laundry, do the grocery shopping, whatever, like all the shit that needs to happen in the 2 days that we have where we're not both working full time is arguably more exhausting than a full day of work during the week.
It's not just that.
And our kid doesn't have a different alarm clock or a different time on the weekends. She still wakes up at 5:30, 6 o'clock. Like,
it's the same schedule.
It doesn't matter. Right. It does, but it doesn't matter whether it's a Tuesday or a Saturday. We're still going to be up at the same time, and it's still going to be a long ass day.
No, but for us, it's, I can only speak for myself. So wake up at 4, go to the gym, come home, get ready for work. Thank God I work from home 4 out of the 5 days a week. You're taking her to daycare. I'm starting my day. I'm bum rushing through jobs. You're going through your meetings and whatnot, all your reports and stuff. Come 4 o'clock, I got to shoot my ass down to pick her up from daycare, bring her back. Hopefully dinner's ready if you had time to do it. And that's not me putting it on you. That's our dynamic.
No, but some days I don't even finish work until you get home.
Right. So then one of us has to cook, and then we have to feed her and at the same time entertain her while the other one's cooking.
And then cleaning.
And then clean it up and then gear her up for bedtime.
And then we have like an hour to play. It's just... I know.
It's done at that point.
And we're going to be adding a newborn to the mix.
Yes. And that's Friday.
Yeah.
And my friend, a friend of mine, a couple of Fridays, he's like, what are you up to tonight? I'm like, it's fucking, what? I'm going to bed soon.
See, to me, it doesn't even matter. Like, if someone asks me, what are you doing tonight? It's the same answer no matter what day of the week it is. Unless we're recording.
Or if it's planned out well enough in advance that we can be like, okay, we know Saturday in 3 weeks, we need a sitter.
Yes, for like an event.
Yes,
like a birthday party or a wedding
double date or something.
Sure, yeah. But you're right. It's not like there's no more of this.
It's
like,
not on a whim.
Exactly, texting us that day. Yeah. But that, I feel like that's kind of what I meant at the beginning. Like, everybody knows once you have a kid, you have to like plan ahead. You can't just call someone and be like, hey, you want to grab dinner tonight at like 4:00 for a 7:00 dinner, because they have to find childcare.
I think
obviously.
That's obvious to us because we lived through it. Speaking from experience, before we had a kid, these things didn't cross my mind.
So what do you think parents
it's
did?
It's obvious. If you were to say to me, hey, do you think you're going to be able to just go out on a whim before having our child? I would have said, well, no, because but it's just the reality hits you harder. Right.
I guess.
Being in that.
I just feel like it's so obvious that a parent would need to find a babysitter if they're going to go out.
Okay, but it's not obvious to those that are asking us, what are we doing on a Friday night?
Which I find it hard to believe. I can't think of a time, before I was a parent, I can't think of a time where I thought that a friend who had kids would just be able to go out on a whim. I knew, obviously, they would have to find a sitter.
We still get asked.
Okay, I don't know. I mean, I understand that's not the first thing on your mind when you're not a parent. Your brain just functions differently.
That's what I'm saying.
I get that. It's just so obvious.
It is now.
I guess.
It's one of those things where kind of like when you meet someone and you say, okay, that's the person I want to be with forever. If you tried explaining that to someone, you would ultimately come up to the explanation of, you'll understand it when you experience it. It's something that you just have to experience.
Yeah.
So for the way I talk about this with people that don't have parents, like you don't understand. Yeah, sorry. Don't have kids. Sorry. You don't understand until you are a parent.
Yeah.
You just, it's not an insult.
Right.
You just can't.
Well, and it's also
you can understand a baseline of it, but you don't get the gravity of it.
Or the objective, like the objective reality. Like, right, that's the thing I feel like is hard to describe. Like, say for any given weekend, right, on a random Saturday night, chances are we are free. Like, we are
doing nothing. We're staying home.
Right.
But we're doing
and she
stuff.
goes to bed or between 8 and 8:30. So, yeah, technically, if there was something happening at 9, like we could go out and grab drinks with our friends and meet them out at the bar at 9:00 and have a sitter come over. And
but then you have to worry about calling the sitter right then and there.
I'm not saying necessarily on a whim. I'm just saying in general. Or we could have friends over and have a fire or something. Like, but it's also just that, like, by that time of the day or that time of the week on a Saturday, like, my brain and
I'm wiped.
I've just been going nonstop. Yeah. And it's just because you have like actual, time in the day doesn't mean that you have space for it in your head.
That's what I'm saying. I'm wiped.
Mentally. Yeah. Like, I don't even know if I'd be able to really hold a conversation with people if they came over at 9 or 10 o'clock on a Saturday night when I've been up since 5:30 and nonstop all week,
Yeah. And this is where, for me, where I get to is I really strive to try to keep those relationships at least, it's a terrible way to put it, but I guess kind of superficial, at least on the surface, like trying to have some sort of communication with people that I haven't been seeing, but at the same time, those relationships do get strained. Yeah, they do become a little distant. When I see people that I haven't seen in forever, it's, with the exception, again, of my best friend, because I talk to him almost, if not every day. And
I know.
I make it a priority to talk to him every day. And he does for me too. It's a two-way street. But with people that I haven't seen, it's okay, I need to think of something to talk about right now.
Well, I bet there are people who can relate to that, who have kids or not, just from the pandemic of going a long time without seeing people. And there are some people who you've kept in touch with, where you FaceTimed or you texted consistently.
It definitely has exacerbated this a lot.
But I think there's something to be said for, there are some friendships are on a spectrum, and there are some, like the one that you have with your best friend, that's super tight. It doesn't, like, nothing's going to come between you guys. And then there are other friendships who I think, you realize, whether it's through having kids and your friend doesn't, or if it's a result of something like the pandemic, that you realize that I think maybe it's possible to realize that those friendships were more superficial in the first place. And it was just that you happened to bump into those people or spend a lot of time with them because you were in the same social circle and you happened to go to the same parties, the same events. You would run into each other just without a lot of effort, just because you were within the same group of friends. It didn't take a lot of intention. I think when you have kids, or in the case of COVID, it takes intention. It takes effort. And the friendships that are worth that effort, or that always had that there as part of its foundation, are the ones that are going to continue.
Yeah. Again, it's important for me to have my child around the people that I'm close to. Again, and my best friend does not have kids, so it's for him, it's easier. And he said it, and I was just like, I totally understand. He's like, this is what I enjoy, like the sweet spot of interacting with your child, but I don't have to be.
He's like the cool uncle.
Yes, it's like if shit goes
doesn't
down,
have responsibility.
I can bounce.
I'm out. Yeah, and we have to deal with it.
Yes, and I get
Totally.
it. I get it, and
every kid needs a cool aunt and uncle like that.
But you don't. For me, it's just these group settings that, again, that Friday thing. I'm just like, what do you?
Yes,
my child's going to be exhausted by the time I get there. And then we have to deal with the cranky 3-year-old.
Oh, I never even considered her bringing to this thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Bringing her with us. I thought if we'd go, it would be get a sitter.
I'm saying if we would.
Oh, yeah, no. That thought never even crossed my mind.
Yeah, it's just, it's
not even
it's
for a second.
And I guess in that aspect, specifically for those that don't have kids, that's how the dynamic has changed. But when it comes to friends that I've been close to that do have kids, it's seamless for me.
Right. I was also going to say that and this isn't for me. I wasn't going to say that it's limited to just friends who have kids, but in general,
we're talking about friendships. So
no, but I'm saying what I'm about to say could apply to a friend that has kids or not.
Right.
I think there are just some friends that it's okay when you go a long time without seeing them or talking to them, and you just pick up where you left off.
Especially if they have kids, because they got their own shit going on.
Yeah, so I can see how that's more likely to happen. Yeah, I don't know. I think everybody has those types of friends in their life.
We did that. So one of the weddings we went to, we picked up your best friend and her husband, and we went to the wedding, and it was. I remember her making a comment. She's saying, "I'm glad things are still the same."
Yeah.
And I was like, "What the fuck you think we've been doing?" we haven't.
Yeah, the four of us.
As long as you don't get sucked into QAnon, you're good.
Yeah, you're pretty much.
Probably the same.
I know. I mean, the four of us hadn't hung out like that in like a year and a half, and it had been few and far between even before the pandemic, because we both had young children.
Right.
Like they had 2 kids too, and we had ours in between her 2. Like it was like 3. I think when her and I finally went out before COVID, we went out just the 2 of us and split a pitcher of sangria, and we were like, holy shit, this is the first time in like 3 or 4 years that one of us hasn't either been pregnant or breastfeeding. Yeah. And we could actually sit down and get drinks together. Yeah. So we were already in that weird. So I think I see what you're saying, that with friends who have kids, you're both falling into that pattern, and you both understand it. And there's a lot of empathy, and you get it.
It's not personal.
Right.
Whereas I can't even say that. I can't say that I could see if someone was offended at me or with me or from me about not hanging out because I have a kid. I'd be like, what the fuck? What? Yeah. How could you? I don't
think any of our friends feel that way. I think it's just
we're just the lame people now.
Yeah, we were always kind of the lame. I think of our group. I think we were always the lame ones anyway.
You were.
Hey, that's not true.
Remember, I've corrupted you.
That's true. Yeah, in the beginning. But then I think it flipped, and I was more social than you were for a while. You would have rather stayed home and done nothing.
Well, because I was working on my papers and stuff, so.
Yeah, I guess you had a really serious few years with school and whatnot.
Anyways, but yeah, I guess for me, I have a lot more friends that don't have kids, so it's the change in dynamic for me is a little bit more
pronounced.
Yes, but for you, I don't really see much of a change, rather than other than the frequency.
Yeah,
when you see them, irrespective of COVID.
Mm-hmm. But for me, I feel like pretty much. Yeah, Mostly all my friendships have been you pick up where you left off for the most part.
Yeah.
And that you're right. That's probably a product of the fact that most of my friends have kids.
Not all.
I said most.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying.
You have more friends than I do in general. As I'm thinking about this,
I'm gonna stir up some shit, but I have a lot of people that call me friend.
Oh boy, yeah, you're very popular.
We'll just put it that way.
Well, and our friend circles are pretty.
Our friend circles expand all the way to fucking California now.
That's true.
So.
Mm-hmm. We do have those besties.
And they're like, right now, we're not. I don't consider them friends.
Well, even with them, we can never hang out even on Zoom because we have a kid.
Yeah, but that will change.
Yeah.
We hope. All right, let's take a quick break here. When we come back, we put up some polls we'll discuss, and hang tight.
Okay, so like I was saying before that I don't think it's really a surprise to anyone for us to bring up that dynamics of friendships change when people start having kids.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the details or the reality of how, significant it is. Yeah, maybe that's up for debate, but I think everybody knows that it's a thing. So the first question that we asked was, so we were trying to poll both parents and non-parents and get their take on this. The first one was for parents, and we asked, have their friendships changed since having kids?
Mm-hmm.
And 100% said yes.
There you go.
Obviously. It's not just us. Yep, it happens to pretty much everybody. It's just your whole life changes. I mean, it sounds so cliche, but it's just reality.
I'm curious to, obviously we didn't specify the dynamics of the friendships, but I'm curious if they meant for better or for worse or indifferent.
Yeah,
and
we didn't ask for those details.
I would bet it's indifferent. I would hate to see it change for the worst. Again, none of my friendships have changed for the worse as a result of being a parent.
I don't think the parents would say that. I think I could imagine that maybe there are non-parent friends, so on the receiving end, who maybe feel like
that's what I'm saying. How
their
could
friendship
you be
is slipping
offended?
away. Not be offended, but you could be sad or disappointed. Just be like, I miss my friend. It's
Bro,
so hard
pop
to
out
see
some
them.
Kids.
No, that's not the only way that you can be friends with someone. It's just, if you've never been through it, like you said, it's hard to understand. It's hard to really empathize and understand the reality of how difficult it is to make time. But all this being, you should make time for your friendships that are important to you, of
I'm
course.
not saying you should.
But I'm saying I can understand how it can be a little bit frustrating or a little bit disappointing when if your friendship, develops distance because your friend has kids and you don't, and your friend is always busy, or they make new friends with fellow parents and they spend more time with them because their kids have play dates and yada yada. Like, I could see how that's kind of a bummer.
That's something we didn't discuss. We haven't made new friends.
Not really, no. But I also think
because of COVID. But we haven't made new friends of parents. Of course, we made new friends, babes. You are still. We have made new friends.
Right, but we haven't met new friends
again
because
we're not
because of our kids. Yeah, there were a couple that I mean, I think it could have kids that go to our daycare and what.
No.
I know, or
Not
dance
doing
class.
that shit.
I know. I'm saying that's where it would happen. Is I'm saying those are the type of situations we're talking about.
I know, but I just want to. I am the type of guy.
I know you have enough friends. We just talked about you're so
It's not
popular.
that
You
I
have
have
no
enough
room.
friends. I
You
just
can't even
don't-
keep up with the friends that you have.
It's just the idea of I am not looking forward to the day where our child makes a friend at school and then we have to interact with those parents. That is a forced friendship. You have to be friendly with that person, and then you have to invite them.
Yeah, but then what if
things.
you really do connect and you have a genuinely good
I don't want to do that.
time?
I don't wanna, no.
It's not. No one is saying
better
that
like swearing.
That's what I'm saying. But like, what if you genuinely get along with these people and you enjoy spending time with them? That's a win-win. No one's saying it's gonna get to the level of how like you and your best friend are texting every day and becoming attached at the hip. Like it's just that it's if we meet a family that
I'm gonna make that clear.
Yeah. Make sure they know where they stand. Yeah. So we didn't. You're right. We didn't really talk about that. We didn't really include that in the polls, but I could imagine if I was on the other side of this and my friend had kids and then started spending more time with other people who had kids and less time with me. I wouldn't say that I'd be offended, but I would just, I mean, I would kind of suck.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I guess, I don't know.
But it goes both ways. I feel like it does take more effort, like I was saying before. And you have to, I think a reality is also you have to be willing to spend time with your friend and their kids. Like if you want to spend time with them, it's a package deal at that point. You know, their kids an extension of them. So
anyways, move on.
So yeah.
Question
So
2.
then we asked parents, is it different between, are the dynamics of their friendships different between friends that are also fellow parents and friends that are not parents? And 90% said yes.
I noticed one person said no. I'm not going to point fingers, but.
Right. We did get, So we didn't get details on that, but I think if that's the case, I was wondering about that too for the no, that the dynamics are similar regardless of if the friends have kids or not. That I just think there's a lot of effort being put into those friendships, and kudos to them. I mean, on both sides.
Yeah, or yes, it would have to be on both ends.
That's what I mean. I think that anyone if you're able to maintain your relationship and your friendship at the same level with other friends who both have kids and who don't, I think it's just recognizing when it makes sense. Like we were saying before, there are certain situations and certain scenarios where it makes sense to get together with fellow parents so the kids can play together. And then there are certain scenarios where you make time for those friendships with your friends who don't have kids, and you get a sitter and you go and socialize, or those friends who don't have kids enjoy spending time with your whole family, and you get together and you spend time that way. I feel like that's the only way for that to be a reality.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it has to be an effort on both ends of the spectrum, and kudos to that person. It's I don't know. I don't want to make it seem like we're giving our past friendships or friendships with those that don't have children like a fucking eulogy here. That's not what I'm trying to.
No, we're saying that we've maintained our friendships with our friends who don't have kids.
You have?
Because
I'm kidding.
Because of things like we just said. Because
we put the effort in.
There's effort. We make time to spend with them, kid free, and our friends who don't have kids also enjoy spending time with our whole family.
We think.
Well, they do, whether or not they have a good time.
They have no choice. Well, you figured they do, because if they didn't, they wouldn't want to hang out with us. That's true. Or maybe they prefer you, and they just tolerate me, and they say the child's okay.
Maybe.
Adam and the child cry the same way.
She does look just like you when she cries.
That's true. So.
Okay, and then the last question was for non-parents. Are your friendships different? Have they changed with your friends who now have kids?
Right.
And again, 100% said yes.
Yes.
So 100% for those two questions, the same question, but to each audience, parents versus non-parents, and they all said 100%. So everybody knows that this is happening. Everybody feels it happening, no matter which side you fall on, whether you're the parent or not. And
it's weird.
I feel like it's just part of life.
Before we had our child, how many of our friends had kids? 2?
Yeah. Yeah, not many.
I didn't notice much of a change in a dynamic. You know, like, well, mostly because we're really close to these people anyway, but I didn't notice much of a change in...
Well, I don't think we minded because, like you said, we were ready to kind of like slow down and we weren't like super eager to go out and socialize and party or do anything like that anyway. So I think we were pretty much already on the same pace as our friends who were having kids before we did, because
I mean, we knew
we were cool with
wanted
that. Right. We knew we wanted kids, but like, I feel like we felt like we were out of like growing out of that phase or growing out of that stage anyway. So like, we were totally content with going to our friends' houses when they had kids, especially when they had young babies, going over and like I remember I have a lot of memories of with the 2 families that we're referring to, going to their house and letting their baby like sleep on me for hours.
Yes.
And hanging out,
again,
watching a movie.
It's easier when they're babies.
Right. This was really early on, but even so, we also went over and we played with their kids. And we enjoyed spending time with them and their kids.
Right.
And there wasn't an expectation that, oh, the only way we're going to see them is if they get a sitter and we go out to dinner.
No, because we would go to them.
That's what I mean. We would go to them, and there was no expectation that their kids wouldn't be around.
Right. Yeah, I just
and
don't
we were okay with that.
Yeah. I just don't remember really being conscious of things are changing with the dynamic.
Yeah, I just really think it boils down to the fact that we didn't mind because we were already kind of homebodies ourselves at that point.
Maybe that's the case. All right, and we put up a question.
Yeah, so then
a bunch of bullshit.
We just wanted people to spill the tea on how they really felt about,
and they don't.
So maybe people just didn't want to offend us, because we
or other people.
For all the people that voted in the polls,
we see you.
Yeah, we didn't get a lot of specific answers to this last sort of open-ended question. But the few that we did get, one was sort of like...
Well, let's do the serious one first.
The serious one first?
Yes.
Okay. So this was this was from a non-parent. Seeing our friends that have kids with or without their kids is usually an event, which is a completely fair observation.
Right. So by event, I would assume...
Like it's a to-do. It's a thing. Like we were saying before, it's not just like they can... text us at 4:00 on a Saturday afternoon and say, hey, you guys want to grab dinner later? Like it's a thing. Like you said, it has to be weeks out planned. Like
there's naps involved.
We have to amp for me, like I have to amp myself up.
It's serious. Like, is that what day? Oh, it's a Saturday. Okay.
Is it bath night?
I was going to say, okay, well, Sunday's usually bath night. So we're hanging out on a Sunday. Okay. So we can only stay until around 6:30.
Mm-hmm. I have to pack her lunch because Monday's a daycare.
Anyway, okay. Well, she doesn't really nap anymore. Hence, I don't know why we're keeping this podcast name, but she doesn't really nap anymore.
But if we're driving more than a half an hour, she might fall asleep.
And then she'll be, if she's cranky when she gets there, it's not you. It is an event.
It's a whole thing.
But we no longer have to bring a suitcase with shit anymore.
Right. Yeah. We've gotten a lot better at streamlining how much stuff we bring. But it does depend. That's another thing. When we go to a friend's house who doesn't have kids, we have to bring shit for her to do to make sure she's entertained.
Well, yeah.
Unless there's going to be other kids there to play with and stuff. Like when we go to a friend's house who has kids, and vice versa, when they bring their kids here, it's built in. They just play with each other's toys and they're going to be entertained. So it's like a kind of a minor thing, but it's something else that we have to think of depending on where we're going and what the environment is like where we're going, and adds to the process of us having to pack stuff. Yeah,
it's usually a planned out thing that we have to sort of brainstorm beforehand. So it will be, hey, what are you doing this day? And it's a fair, even if it's 3-4 weeks out, it's a fair question because we've been so busy every weekend in the
well,
summer.
this summer because we're making up for lost time because
Right. So I remember saying to my friend, hey, the next available day we have is August 1st or something.
Yeah,
or
it was
maybe
literally
he
like
said
2
to
months
me,
out.
yeah, are you busy August 1st? And I said, no, but I have to run it by Cindy, A, to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Mm-hmm. And B, we need to fucking, plan it out, strategize that whole thing to make sure it works. And, it's if we didn't have a kid, it's, just get here when you get here.
Right.
Whenever. It's, okay, we'll be there at this time or what time because we're up.
Right.
We're up at 7.
And then we have to leave at a very specific time to make sure we get home in time for
bath.
Yeah, and bedtime. And we don't want to throw off our whole schedule. So, yeah.
And especially because daycare's the next day. It's
right.
Only parents get it. And again, I'm not trying to patronize non-parents here.
And it's not to say that there's never exceptions, like on a holiday or something, like whatever. They stay up late and all that shit goes out the window.
Mostly because we're on vacation. So if she's fucked up, we're fucked up when it comes to sleep schedule. So
yeah,
it's hard to do that during a work week.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the schedule and the routine is key, at least for our family. So, okay. Another one was like, I think kind of a tongue-in-cheek comment that it turns out that their kids are more important than our friendship. And so
listen here, King, that is not true.
I think that's like, I mean, on the one hand, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, your kid is your highest priority in your life, obviously. I think he's acknowledging that. And
of course he does.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, but on the other hand, it goes back to what we were saying before, that if for your friendships that are meaningful and significant to you, it's worth it to put in the effort to maintain them, even if it looks different than it did before you had kids. Like, it's,
let me know that our friendship still is important.
Right. So yeah, people's kids are more important than their friends.
Yeah.
Once they have kids, but that doesn't mean that the friendship needs to dissolve
and be unimportant.
It's just going to be different.
Yeah. I mean, that's the fear that I have with people that don't have kids, that may have these thoughts, may have these ideas of, hey, like, you've changed, man. And on the one hand, look, this has never been said to me, but even if it was, I'd say, yeah, dude, I'm a fucking dad.
Yeah.
Well, of course things are different. Of course my, attitudes and sensibilities have to be different towards things, specifically those that I might have been more relaxed on before, and that's not to say that when we get together, I'm not going to have fun. That's not to say that I'm going to be, the lame squad when I'm there. I'll still try to maintain a certain level of, persistent personality. That
right. Well, you are a dad. We're parents, but you also are still you, and you still have, I
don't know. I have been told by at least one person that I have lightened up a lot since having a kid, or like not taking
it. Puts things into perspective, I think, for you.
Yeah, maybe. But then I don't know. I'm hardcore about a lot of things, though. Still,
you are
as a result, but it's.
But comparatively, it is lighter than it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but honestly, I mean, I was gonna say that it's, when I think about that, like, your relationship with everybody in your life changes when you have a kid.
Yes.
Like, our relationship has changed, as obviously, like, couples, your dynamic in your relationship changes when you have kids. My relationship with my parents has changed. Like, before I had a kid, I talked to my mom every single day, and now I'm thinking, like, there, like, 5 days will go by and I'll be like, or she comes over to babysit one day a week. No, it's totally different. But I'm saying, it's my point is that
she's working and stuff. It's different.
She was working before.
That's true. I just think having her hours been like a little different than the hours before.
Yeah, but it's still a normal work day.
I just thought she would call you on the way home.
Sometimes we would. Yeah, sometimes we catch each other on our commutes and stuff. But still, I'm saying, like, that dynamic has changed because I just don't have enough time. I mean, in the very beginning, I was probably calling her like 17 times a day because I didn't know what the hell I was doing as a new mom. Yeah. But that's another thing. You connect with friends who are fellow parents over that kind of stuff. over just being a parent and getting advice from each other or helping each other out. But yeah, my point is just that it's not just friends. It's every relationship in your life changes when you have kids.
Yeah, I remember when we announced we were having another girl, a friend of mine called me, and I said, it's not a good time, I'll call you back. And I called back, and he didn't pick up. And bear in mind, this person also has 2 kids.
Right.
And I said, I think I left a voicemail saying, tag, you're it, bitch.
Yep.
And left it. And I didn't, this again was in May when we announced.
Right.
I called him Friday. And again, this
like
is
a week
mid-July.
Later.
No, this is
this
mid-July.
past Friday.
This past Friday. And I said, hey, and he's like, dude, I am so sorry. You know, it was on me. I didn't call you back. I said, dude, you have 2 kids. I get it.
Yeah.
You don't have to apologize. I've been busy too. And this is literally the first time, A, I thought to call, and B, that I could call.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know, it's important for me to call you and just to catch up in general.
Right.
And we were talking, just shooting the shit back and forth. And, he's also like, yeah, I'm working on this thing. I'm trying to get it done. I said, dude, you have 2 kids. Like,
yeah, there's no expectation. There's no, like, I know. And that's a running joke too with me and
if
my
you
friends.
have spare time to do anything, take a nap.
Right. My friends who have kids is like, we joke that like it takes, like we talk about how it takes so, like you have to plan so far in advance. It's also because it takes like 2 weeks just to have a conversation.
Yes.
Like when I text with my best friend, like it'll be like once every like 3 days, one of us will respond to the other one's text message. So to have a full conversation or to make plans for something, it just takes forever but there's no offense. Like I know when I text her not to expect a response right away.
Yeah. It's when you were non-parents, the whole group, and you send a message on on Facebook Messenger or whatever, or through text, and you see that it's been read but no response. You're like, what the fuck? Like, right. I saw you. I know you saw it.
Yeah.
And I know you had nothing to do.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Now that if you're talking to your fellow parent friends, you're like, I get it.
Yeah. Right. There's no expectation for a response right away.
I understand.
Yep. If it's urgent, if I need a response right away, I'll call you.
Right. The last response we got was from my buddy that says, what, I get to be paid now to hang out.
Yeah, your friend that you work with.
Bro, you were getting paid for that before I became a parent. And before you became a parent. What are you talking about?
Yep.
Whatever.
I think he's saying that that's why your friendship has maintained even though when you both became parents, because he gets paid to talk to you now.
It would have maintained outside.
That's what he needs.
I've been friends with him since 7th grade.
Mm-hmm. Well, according to him, that if you weren't,
if
he wasn't getting paid, then he wouldn't be your friend.
He gets paid the big bucks. He is my direct.
Well, he should. He has to deal with you every day.
He's my direct supervisor.
You should give me a commission for having to deal with you the rest of the time.
Hey, whatever works. I'm just saying. It happens. All right. That wraps it up for that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you would like to stake your claim on how your friendships have evolved, changed, for the better or for worse, whether you're a parent or non-parent and your friends are parents, or you're a parent and your friends are also parents, maybe that's changed, or you're a parent and your friends are not parents. All right, there we go. I think I've covered all the bases.
There's all the combos, yeah.
Or if you're not parents, has your friendship changed with those that are also not parents? Just because.
Right, just as a result of growing up.
If you'd like to spill some tea on us.
Or COVID.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, shit happens.
Friends. Friends. Whatever. I love all of you.
Yep.
I really do. All right.
You might not hear from us for a while after we have another baby, but
it's important.
We love you.
I remember when we were hanging out with your friends and mine during the wedding. Mm-hmm. We were just shooting the shit and we were just laughing about stuff. And I was just like, I love you guys so much.
Yeah.
And I said that at the bachelor party and at the wedding with all my close friends, and we were just laughing. I'm just like, I fucking love you guys.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. Anyways, if you liked what you've heard, please subscribe to the show. We're on all your favorite podcatchers. We're also on the YouTubes, just no video. Again, I'm not saying this is the total end of While She's Napping, but we're getting close to when we're going to have to take a hiatus. How long that hiatus will be, I do not know, but it's going to be a decent amount of time.
Well, everybody heard on the whichever episode it was where we talked about the newborn versus the toddler phase.
Yes.
And how difficult the newborn phase was for us the first time around. If it's anything like that again, I'm dead to the world for like 5 months.
I said this to you today. When the baby's born and she's sleeping in the hospital, we're going to record a quick 5-10 minute episode.
In the hospital.
In the hospital. It's going to be shitty quality. It's just going to be with our iPhone, fucking iPod, fucking headphone bullshit. AirPod. Whatever. iPod. There are people listening. What the fuck? What is an iPod? Anyways.
Yeah, anyway, we'll try to do something to...
I just think that would be fun.
Yeah.
Nurse coming
fun.
in. Hey, let's interview our nurse.
Yeah.
So, babies.
Yeah.
If you want to get in touch with us, you can.
We're on Facebook at facebook.com/whileshe'snapping. On Instagram at whileshe'snapping, on Twitter at she'snappingpod, or you can email us at whileshe'snapping@gmail.com.
All right. Don't know what we're talking about next week, but we'll have stuff. Take it easy.
Bye.